Reginald here.
Oh, whoa! Wait, where did these guys come from?
Until Death and Holy Revenant are the two best blue nodes in the game, and it's not even close. Apparently, there is an opinion going around that Until Death is a tax node and Holy Revenant is a building for failure node. So let's dispel these faulty notions and talk about why these nodes are the best nodes in the game and are absolutely required for any meta zealot build. First, let's just address the argument I have heard. 1, it's building for failure. Look, I was going to take the piss out of this section by being humorously sarcastic, a little tongue-in-cheek, but I realized halfway through that I was actually completely serious, so that wasn't going to work. If taking defensive nodes is building for failure, then why are we all talking about Iron Will like it is good? Just dodge. Stop getting hit. What are you doing? You could be pumping more damage instead of wasting points on that silly little Iron Will 70% damage reduction. Or shout, for that matter. You don't need gold toughness, just avoid the damage. This logic just does not check out when you actually play the video game. I have the notable honor of being friends with a lot of the very best players in this game, and just the other day we were playing on stream and treating Havoc 40 like it was an Auric mission. Despite their immense skill, I have seen every single one of them eat a trapper net, die to a crusher overhead, get dogged, get reapered, whatever. Human beings do in fact make mistakes. The game throws a lot of bullshit at you, sure. I have personally had perfect runs, no damage taken, so on. But in Havoc 40, most of the time, that's not going to happen unless you play like an absolute bitch. By definition, if taking hit mitigation is building for failure, so is Shout, so is Chorus, so is Bubble. The differences between Gold Toughness and Until Death are not trivial, but they are in the same ballpark. The core function of both of these abilities is to allow the player to survive one additional potentially fully lethal hit without taking any damage. Until Death does this at the bottom of your health pool instead of the top. Number 2, the amount of HP gained isn't very much. Holy Revenant generates 25% HP based on damage dealt, with melee damage providing more. It's certainly true that not every case that triggers Until Death will allow you to regenerate the full HP value, or any in some cases, but it's frequent enough. How much is 25% HP though, and is it really worth it? Well, by default, Zealot HP is 200. That's at least 50 HP. I did the math in this video, and it's 3 to 4 hits when you get damage toughness before you can go down again in typical builds that I run, which is really quite good considering how many damage avoidance and toughness generating options you and a good supporting team have. But there's one other way to make this case that is just not being properly considered. Are green stims good? The health stims, I mean. They can give you up to 25% of your HP back. Well, so can Holy Revenant. That means Holy Revenant is the same as having an entire health stim in your pocket every 2 minutes. These two pictures are the same. And just a second thought there, maybe
Beacon of Purity
it's underrated. Number 3, I have heard people say that there are better talents to take. That's wrong. But to explain why, I need to go a bit deeper. Let's talk about what makes these two nodes so good by talking about the playstyle that they support. Why they're meta. I do need to set the stage a little. The debate between who is stronger, Vet or Zealot, melee or ranged, is literally as old as this game. In the way back times of year 1, I was heavily involved in proving out the value proposition of melee. But let me summarize the situation for the uninitiated. In Darktide, ranged approaches do have significant advantages over melee approaches. This is because they can do damage from the outside of the actual danger zone of almost every enemy. Even shooters, gunners, and reapers actually have ranged damage fall off. So if you, the player, are shooting from far enough away, you're actually safer than if you were trying to dive them in melee. The obvious problem with ranged-only approaches is enemy flanking maneuvers and ammunition. The former forces you into melee, and the latter, well, you can't only shoot in a Havoc 40 game. You're going to run out of ammo, even if you're the only one taking ammo. So even though ranged damage is both safer and often has higher burst potential than melee, you're rate limited. You can't run 4 guardsmen and expect everyone to have ammo all game. It's just not going to happen. That's where melee comes in. With the right gear and skills, you can take on literally any threat in melee and you never run out of ammo. But the skills part is a big deal here. The rate limit here is on your personal gameplay skill, your fundamentals, your footwork. If you are especially good at this, you can even spend a lot less of your own ammo so that the characters who are specialized in range damage get more relative benefit for you not taking any and competing with them for it. But there's a problem. Being in melee does mean being exposed to a high degree of risk. For some classes, a single misplay in melee can result in a down. Veteran specifically has this problem in spades, even if his damage is pretty good. But what if there are classes that were good at melee specifically, like a bunch of attack speed, extra stagger, resistance skills for melee combat, like some kind of zealot who really wants to fight in melee all game and had talents like that specifically to protect the user from being overly aggressive. With that setup, you can give more ammo to the guy in back and keep him free of a lot of threats, and exposure to risks of different kinds while you take on the frontlining duties. But there are other things you can do. As a melee player, when you tie up shooters in melee combat, you prevent them from gunning down your teammates. As a melee player with good skills, there's actually a specific job that you can do that no one else can take on, which is to make sorties or dive enemy groups away from your teammate to deal with specific threats before returning to your team. You can go solo stuff. No one else can really do that except Zealot and probably Arbitrator. You can take on groups of melee elites without spending a drop of ammo. This is all incredibly important, actually, because when the inevitable difficulty spike comes and tries to wipe you out of the game, it's your preservation of resources through these techniques that allows your veteran or whatever to actually spend ammo. It is not the regular tempo drumbeat of enemies that kills you. It is the big spikes of difficulty that typically cause team wipes. So that's the stage. You kind of know what you can do if you have this and what it facilitates, but let me drive the point home. So let's say you're playing Zealot and you've determined your best course of action is to charge a gunner nest. But unfortunately for you, it's kind of far away and full of unknown risks, and you just don't think you can get there safely without going down. So instead, you're going to sit back and plink with your ranged weapon, which is way weaker than if you had just been playing Veteran. And this is how most people see Zealot and assess him in the meta. But that's bitch shit. We're high test out here. With Until Death and Holy Revenant, you can choose on purpose to rush that really dangerous situation because you have insurance. If you pull off a risky play and you don't get punished, that's great. But if you do get punished, you have a free out, a reset on that punishment, and 5 seconds to pull yourself out or finish the job. In that case, you've just restructured the landscape of the game, and now the team can make new progress. You crushed a group of key enemies that otherwise you were going to have to play whack-a-mole with at range, and in much better time and without spending any ammo. This is just one of the many examples of things you can do with Until Death and Holy Revenant because you cannot do this with anything else really. You just can't choose to make an extremely difficult play knowing you have 5 seconds of invulnerability on tap on any other class. There's like 50 HP waiting for you on the other side of that too. Until Death and Holy Revenant are gameplay enablers. They let you take positions that no other class can feel comfortable in. You can just play like a lunatic because as long as you have it, you are safe. You will never just go down in a bad situation and be unrecoverable. You always have a chance to retreat. They let you make plays no other class feels safe making. Ogryn, as a melee class, is more of an anchor for the team, positionally defensive. Zealot is capable of being a vanguard, going on solo sorties. That's not even talking about the reality that Zealot gives you the insane clutch potential with these two talents and the ability to safely bite off more elites than you might otherwise feel comfortable with in melee because you will always have the oops, I missed a dodge safety blanket, especially if there's a big difficulty spike. Because remember, in most games, it is not the constant flood of enemies that force you into a loss. To reiterate this again, it is difficulty spikes. And Until Death is what prevents difficulty spikes from being lethal. This ability often does have low uptime. The point is that it protects you at precisely the moment you would otherwise lose the game. There is no other ability that is as good besides gold toughness, and this is just a blue node. That is why it is the best node in the game, and so is Holy Revenant because, hey, 25% HP. All right, everybody. I know that was something of a tirade, so if you disagree with me, I'll be happy to read your comments, but I think I made my case about as strongly as I can. Warm regards, everybody. Reginald.
Hey, Volcom, what weapon did you use to kill everything? Is that a dueling sword? Hell no!
Reginald.
It's very important to me to take a moment and recognize the people who have been supporting my channel all this time. Thank you so much to a Rando Dude and Joseph Davison for your significant contribution to this channel and its longevity. As Oathmaker level members, you guys have done a lot for this channel. Also to Monolith for becoming my first Savant level member and also inventing the whole level. I really appreciate that a lot. Here's your Comic Sans. And to Fluff, Zimisk3, and Monolith Mask for your support as Adept level members. You know how much this means to me, and I really appreciate it. Don't think I've forgotten. I'm really excited to make this part of my video. Lastly, but not leastly, to everyone else who has supported my channel, and especially to Vinny for your continued support of my streams. Thank you so much. The channel would not be the same without all of you supporting it, and I'm really, really grateful. I look forward to continuing to try and cover interesting topics on this channel, and I've got plenty of stuff kind of lined up that I'd like to do. So thanks so much, everyone.